Stick with me as we talk about that faint music you hear. So let's dive into this because this is something I have a lot of personal experience with. Some people say with the Mandela Effect that they start to hear faint music when it's quiet. Sometimes they say even it sounds like a faint party, or like if you were to listen to a radio station with a pillow up to your ear. You know it's music, you can't really tell what it is. You can't really tell like lyrics, but you can kind of, you still feel the rhythm, you can sense it. I have a lot of experience with this. And this was happening before the Mandela Effect for me. And it was also happening to a lot of people, way, way back. Now, there are medical explanations. There is something called musical ear syndrome, which is usually people that have like sort of damaged hearing. They will hear music played while it's kind of like how your brain will take some sort of white noise or pattern. Like an air conditioner's on or a fan's on or something like that, and it will just start interpreting that as music, and then usually the music will go away if they turn that source off. So there is a scientific explanation for this, and it's kind of common, but there's also a greater thing called a audio pareidolia. Now, what that is where it kind of reminds me of when I was a kid, and one of the first scary movies I saw was Poltergeist. You guys remember the scene with Carol Ann, and they come downstairs, and she's got her hands on top of the TV, and she's like listening to static, and she's talking to the ghost through the TV. It's where your brain hears staticky patterns and tries to make sense of it by making it sound like music, or sound like some sort of pattern recognition. It'll just start filling in details that don't really exist. It's kind of like when you hear lyrics to a song and you think the song was saying one way the whole time, and then you actually look up the lyrics online and you're like, oh man, that's what they've been saying for 20 years? I've always thought it was this. I'm sure you've had that experience where something's not really clear and your brain kind of pieces together what's missing, or tries to fill it in. Especially a lot of 80s music, you can't understand half of it, right? So there are scientific explanations, and I want to give those their due. But what people are talking about, and especially with me with the Mandela Effect, is oh, there goes the cat. I guess he's done talking about those. Is sometimes people are experiencing this in much more than they ever have, or in a lot more intensity. I used to live out in a cabin in the middle of the woods, and it was 50 acres around. Nobody was around, and at night I could hear faint music. And when you'd go try to find it, you're like, did I leave a radio on, or is there something like? It's almost like if you have headphones on an MP3 player and you set it down and you can kind of hear the music through the headphones. That's what it sounds like. It's so faint. And then you get up and look for it, and then when you turn and look at something, it disappears. And when you turn and look at something, it disappears. And when you lay back down, you hear it, and you're like, where's this music? It's driving me crazy. And it always, to me, sounded like faint big band music, like some sort of old school music, maybe even some country once in a while, like old bluegrass, but mainly big band, swing, that sort of thing. So sometime I thought, okay, maybe this was like a signal. My grandpa used to like swing, and he passed away. Maybe he's trying to communicate with me. I don't know. I was trying to think of what it could be, trying to rationalize it. And then once I, really, I just wrote it up to musical ear syndrome. I was like, I guess I'm just making all this up. But then when the Mandela Effect happened, now it's really increasing with intensity. I can sit in a normal room without a fan or air conditioner or anything, and I can hear music. And I'll be sitting with my girlfriend, and it's like, do you hear that? Do you hear that? And she'll be like, no, I don't hear what you're doing. I was like, it's driving me crazy. Where is that? And I would hear music. And when I mentioned this on the show, I got all these emails of people being like, oh man, this is happening to me too. I didn't realize it. It had to do with the Mandela Effect. And I'm not sure it does. Like all this stuff here, I don't know the answers. I'm guessing on all this. So I'm going to throw this out to the community, and we could talk it through and see what you think. I kind of remember there was a time where listening to static was really popular. I remember as a kid, we used to do this for fun, where we would turn on the TV and just watch the static. I don't even know if modern TVs still do static, but the old black and white, the rabbit ears, you did get static, and on the radio, and we would sit and listen intently, turn the lights down, and we'd listen for messages and be like, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that? It said hello." And it would always be like some garbly gook, robot hello. It's never like a clear hello. And it's kind of like the voices people record for ghosts. What do they call them? EP, electronic voice recordings. I can't remember what the definition. I'm sure in the comments you guys know what I'm talking about. And I do believe actually there's some pretty credible stuff that's been caught on those recordings. I believe that, but I feel that it was like a popular thing for a long time to listen to static, and I remember people getting really weirded out. They would feel like almost like it was a Ouija board experience where you were like opening yourself up to getting information that you shouldn't be playing with. But these days I feel a little different, because I don't think everything is as scary and evil and fearful as I'm led to believe reading the internet. I think sometimes there's just communication. And what's interesting with the Mandela Effect is a lot of people believe that right now realities are colliding, and that maybe even this reality, like the Dolores Cannon camp kind of thinks there's two Earths, that the reality's tearing apart, and we're living in that mesh where it's flopping back and forth. Why that's going on, maybe we are hearing music from another reality, or we're experiencing that. I think it's interesting that it is such a large phenomenon that it actually has its own medical jargon and name and diagnosis of musical ear syndrome. I find it pretty fascinating that is a thing, which to me makes it wonder that if there's something else going on besides just the hard science medical explanation. It seems like a sloppy explanation, honestly. I don't really believe it. So it seems not the way I feel, because you get like feelings with this music. It's not just you hear music. It's like almost like something's trying to communicate, or you're listening in. It's I don't know how to explain it. Maybe you guys in the comments you could help me out with this, but it feels different than I'm just like sitting there listening to a music station. It's ethereal, sort of. And it is weird that when you go try to hunt it down, it always disappears. And then it comes back. It disappears. So if this is happening to you, I would be really grateful if you would leave a message, because this has been increasingly happening to me, and it's starting to drive me a little batty on some levels. At this point, I'm trying to accept it and just be like, okay, you know what? People are having a good time. There's a party somewhere in another reality, and I'm just going to enjoy it. Because it's not like some sort of evil feeling I get in, or like something bad. It's very matter of fact, like, oh, someone's playing music, but it is a full body sensation. It's not just hearing. It's like I said, it's almost like ethereal, like a spiritual music. Wish there was a better way to explain it than that. But if you've experienced it, you know what I'm talking about. It's not normal music. Anyway, so I'd really like your opinion on this. Do you think this is a Mandela effect? Is it just, musical ear syndrome? Am I just blowing this out of proportion? Or in the comments, if you've experienced it, is it happening more after the Mandela effects have really kicked in? Like, to me, it's ramping way up. But some people, maybe it's gone away or down. I don't know. This is all anecdotal, so let's just talk about it and see what we think. So I'd appreciate you leaving comments, and also we have some pretty interesting live shows coming up. So if you didn't know, if you want to talk more about Mandela Effect, I have a live show every Thursday at 8 o'clock on YouTube. Just come by at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time at night. That's a PM. And you'll see also, I'll link it at the end, there's a playlist of all my old shows. And we talk about everything on these shows because I just kind of created like a safe place to hang out and talk. And no matter how crazy the idea sounds in everyday normal world, we'll bat it around in there just because the Mandela Effect's made everything not normal anymore. Like, what's real anymore? Like, at one time I would have just laughed at everything, but now I'm like, yeah, it could be true. Who knows? So I'm definitely more open-minded now. I hope you'll join me for that show. It's a lot of fun. Check it out, and also check out the back catalog of my old stories. Thanks for watching. Again, be positive, support each other, and be nice to your cat, even if he doesn't stay for the whole show. Where did he go? That was his idea. He just jumps up here and then just wants you guys to make sure you see him, and then he leaves. It's just like a cat. We're cats.